take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes. We're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no.
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
And here we are, folks. Welcome back to the zoo. Folks, we're on a strike here, I think. A zoo strike. It's because on the Prepared Mind, we got a strike, and the Prepared Mind BC, we got a strike. Good thing we've got John, the Prepared Mind, and behind that, folks, is the Prepared Mind John. This is what they're up to. I mean, even though that's big news, me getting a strike for what? Oh, not telling the story exactly the way the mainstream media likes? Well, right. We do have a top news story. Oh, yeah. Now, here it is. It is the Second Amendment. That's why I had our good buddy, Beto O'Rourke, as the disclaimer. That's right, this show is all satire all the time. Or is it? Welcome back, everybody. It's going to be a lower attended show, but the intensity can be just as high as ever, right? How many people are subscribed to the Prepared Mind? 80,000 plus. How many people are subscribed to the Prepared Mind BC? About 7,500. How many people are subscribed to John the Prepared Mind? 3,500. You see, we got kind of a factor thing there. You have to be subscribed to them all. But I got to say this. If you want to find out where we're at any time, you go to the preparedmind.club and it will tell you. Additionally, you can join the news list there and get news articles, stuff I can't talk about at all. But you'll also be on an email list, which goes out every week telling people where we're at. You have to stay on top of these people, folks. They're after us, bigger than shit. Now, in line with the guns issue, at a mall in El Paso, Texas, guess what? A shooter decided that they were going to start shooting. Well, a bystander pulls his own piece and fires. The shooter stopped cold, folks. Cold. Stone cold done. That's what the police have said. Now, this is about the Second Amendment. This is about shit hitting the fan. We keep getting these attempts at mass murder, folks, and shopping malls appear to be the place it happens. We had earlier, just a few months back, someone go to a food court, a crowded food court at a shopping mall, pulled out his AR-15, the left-wing communist version, and started shooting, and a young man had his concealed weapon with him and engaged and put him down. Well, a lot of these shooters are finding that they're not getting a whole lot of luck out there. And we're also finding out that they're a bunch of left-wing mass murderers. Not right-wing, but left-wing. What does that tell you? They're not in their right minds. They aren't, folks. They've lost their minds, these lefties. We even had Chris Cuomo of CNN. CNN, what did he do? Well, he came out and he said, well, you know, after I got fired, I felt like killing myself and everyone. It's like, whoa. He wants to kill everyone around him. That's really how these people operate up here, folks. They're not great. They're not all together upstairs. And they're willing to use a tool, a weapon, to kill people. Now, what do you think of that? This is your show, folks. It's Sunday Night Live. It is The Zoo. We're over here on John the Prepared Mind. You should be subscribed, and you should have that notification bell hit. We're going to be here for just, I don't know, the next week or so. They don't want free speech. They don't want you hearing anything that we want to talk about. Now, Chris Cuomo, I mentioned him, right? Well, the MSU shooter. That's right. It was at Missouri State University. That shooter has been revealed to be, drum roll, please. That's right, folks. A Democrat, a liberal Democrat. Unbelievable. Absolutely unfreaking believable. But it is just as we predicted. Every single one of these people that we catch, that someone catches, well, and sometimes catches other people off guard. It is really unbelievable. Now, get your questions in. We've got that button right up there. It is the super chat button, or you could go down here. You could do Venmo, you could do PayPal, you could do Cash App, and you can get your questions right up here. Sunday Night Live is the fundraising day of the show. Every week we do it. You get super chat, you get a question, and your questions help other people. So not only are you helping keep, well, the Prepared Mind stocked with tuna fish and scotch, right? You keep us on the air and keep us going, and you help other people wake up because they hear your question. Not the stuff I want to talk about, but the stuff you want to talk about. It's really that important, folks. It just is. Now, on the subject of being awake, being aware, being prepared. This story is not a happy story, unlike the story of the shooter at the mall getting taken down, right? A woman, a mother, a young mother went shopping at a Kroger, which is kind of like a Piggly Wiggly or kind of like a Safeway or Albertsons. It's a store. It's a food store, right? She went to a Kroger, took her children shopping. And afterwards, right, in the parking lot, somehow she managed to get in a dispute. Now, I don't know what the dispute was about, but this mother got in a dispute with another woman and got shot, killed. Understand that at any moment in today's environment, with today's Democrat mentality, with their attitude, right, they will kill anyone over anything. They lose their job, they'll kill you. Sounds like, well, I don't know, did fight over the shopping cart, fight over a parking space? Was the mother, was she too white? I mean, what was the problem here, right? Literally, what was the problem? Well, the problem is these left-wingers are the problem. It has nothing to do with being white or a woman or in the wrong parking spot. It has to do with the way these people think. They're losing their shit, folks. They are the ones coming apart at the seams. They truly are. They truly are. What do you think of that? Literally, what do you think of that? Now, when it comes back to guns, right? So, lunatic in parking lot shoots woman. Lunatic goes to mall, wants to shoot people. He gets shot and put down. You see the difference between the two stories? One has an unarmed mother. She gets killed. The other has an armed American and saves lives. Well, we can't have that, right? Well, guess what happened? Over the weekend, it's been revealed that some documents, some alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, that is the bureaucracy, the ATF, they had some documents leaked. Oh, yeah. And it is revealing the Biden regime. That's right, folks. The Biden administration has a scheme, a plan, a diabolical set of paths they're going to take to get to your guns. Hell yeah, they're going to take everything they can. They want to close gun stores across the country. How do they do that? Well, these gun stores, they have permits. That's right, called an FFL, a Federal Firearms License. It's a permit to sell weapons, to sell guns. Well, the ATF is now being authorized. They're giving special authorization to revoke these FFL licenses that gun stores possess. Now, typically, in order to lose a permit, you have to break some rule, right? Now, this is interesting, right? The government believes that, well, if they make you get a permit, then they can revoke that permit at any time for any reason. They say it's not a right. You don't have a right to open a gun store. You don't have a right to drive. We have a right to travel, and we have a right to own private property. You put the right to travel, you and the private property car together, and you get locomotion. That's you going down a public road doing what you want. They don't like that. They don't like that. So, with gun stores, they've tried screwing with the right, the Second Amendment right to possess guns, right? Keep and bear arms. They keep trying to toy with this. They've gone after ammunition and told, no. This is the Second Amendment. And the government's argument is, well, it's a permit. It's a license. And they're like, no. They're exercising a right which you have attached a permit to. We're getting to that area, folks, where they're trying to overrule that right with, well, if it's a permit, you're done. So here's some more details, folks. The new Biden guidelines that the ATF has say, quote, the ATF must establish willfulness. That is, willfulness to break a law, to proceed with canceling licenses held by gun stores. But the agency, quote, does not have to establish a history of prior violations to determine willfulness. In other words, if you break one little rule, they can take your license. One little rule, one mistake, one accounting mistake, any mistake at all. Now, the ATF, in order to cancel, must establish willfulness, right? Well, there's no requirement. They can just say you broke a rule that was willful on your part, right? You're not allowed to be ignorant of all the rules and regulations. And what that means is the ATF has the discretion to claim anyone who violates any rule did it willfully, and therefore you are bad, and they will take those licenses. And on top of that, as soon as that gun store loses their FFL, that's right, the ATF goes in and confiscates all gun sales records. That's right. They want to know who has guns out here. You see, the FFL rules, or rather the ATF rules, pardon me. The FFL rules are you buy a gun, you fill out the documentation, and the store owner keeps those records. The store owner keeps those records. They don't all go back to DC. Now, they do the federal background check, which I do think is a violation of our rights at the federal level. But, here we are. It's 2023. Joe Biden wants your guns. Beto O'Rourke wants your guns. Senator Feinstein wants your guns. Isn't it amazing that they know there's a Second Amendment, yet they still want to steal your guns? They still want to violate your rights. They don't want to quit, folks. They don't want to give up. And that's our top story for this Zoo Sunday Night Live. Anyways, let's move forward now. And it is Darcy T with a $50 super chat fund. And she says, good evening, John. Just some support for the spam fund. And I tell you what, there's never enough spam. There's never enough canned chicken. There's never enough canned tuna. There's never enough canned anything, especially since they're telling us they want to make fake meat for us. They want to take our meat. And oh yeah, let's see, the avian bird flu that's killing all the chickens. Yeah, it's also apparently it's getting into the pork, and it's going to get into everything else. Everything's going to be so contaminated, we have to kill all the livestock. Unbelievable that this is the route they're taking, yet they're taking it. Why? Because that is their authority. Government does not have rights. Government has power. Government has authority. And authority and power are limited by the Constitution. Limited by the Constitution. So everywhere they can, they will increase their authority, increase their power. They will never have rights, but they will have authority. And left unchecked, well, that's exactly what Nazis love. That's exactly what communist dictators love. Thank you, Darcy T, for always supporting this channel. Every week, week in, week out, there's a number of you that support everything we do here. And that is provide information, provide thought so that you can be prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, our top story tonight. I mean, self-defense. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. You don't have a right to self-defense. Actually, you do. They just don't want to tell you that you do. They really don't, folks. And it's going to continue. It really is going to continue. These left-wing lunatics are going to continue to come after you and me. And I've got one more story for you that's just going to make you go, right? It's unbelievable. There was a mugger attempted to mug in Chicago, no less, an off-duty cop's firearm. This is the mentality of the left-wingers, folks. Okay, and it was actually videotaped as well, right? After helping break up a fight involving a mugger outside her apartment, the officer is walking away, and the thief sneaks up and tries stealing her gun. Right? Wait a minute. If this mugger was fucking with someone and this off-duty cop broke it up, why wasn't the mugger in handcuffs? That's right. He's a criminal. So instead, this dumbass cop exposes herself to a wrestling match. He tries stealing her gun, right? And she yells she's going to kill him, right? Because he's like grappling with her and hanging on to her and stuff. She ends up shooting him twice to get free. Completely justified, of course. So then the mugger, get this, get the dialogue, get the drama. He's like, you got me. But he doesn't let go of her. He's still hanging on. So she fires a third shot. And she says, I told your dumb ass I'd kill you. Right? That ended it right there. But laying on the ground, I guess the mugger kind of whimpers and says, please, baby, I'm sorry. I don't want to die. Right? So the mugger's mugging. He's stopped by the cop. She breaks all that shit up. She doesn't arrest him. He knows she's a cop. So he tries stealing her gun. He gets an arresting match. She says she's going to fucking kill him. Then she shoots him twice. The dumb son of a bitch won't let go. That means he doesn't back off. He doesn't give up. He gets shot again. And then he says, then he sexually harasses her with, please, baby. I'm sorry. You've been shot 3 fucking times now, buddy. Sorry, don't cut it. You're going to hope that you make it until the ambulance arrives. And he didn't. He's dead. Just some crazy shit, folks. Crazy shit. Now, Darcy did not ask a question. So one lucky person out there, man gets to pick the subject, the topic. We'll do that. Since sometimes Darcy asks questions, other times she's like, hey, just get her done, man. And I know we're on the Prepared Mind or John the Prepared Mind channel. Holy shit. So come up with a good question out there, man, and you can throw it on up there. For now, though, right, I want to talk about this. we're going to switch gears. Rat-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
Yay!
And as usual, there's a bottle of Glenlivet 18 right here. For $50 Super Chat donations or more, I'll have me a nice shot, and it'll help support our efforts. So, knowing all that, here we go with the news, right? In East Palestine, a local there has let something out of the bag. The MyID, emergency service biometrics. It's like a thing that straps to you where you can be tracked by, well, medical people, government people. It's some kind of tracking device. Well, this was launched, this program in East Palestine, 1 week before the train derailment, the chemical fire, the strange coincidence. And folks, it is those darn coincidences, you know, like vinyl chloride, the one of the toxic chemicals there. Well, the acceptable limits were raised by the government much higher before the wreck. Just what, a week or so? Anyone, week or so? Right? It's not that any one occurrence means anything. What matters is the timing of them, right? The coincidental coexistent. Now, we do know that there's approximately right now, 1,000 derailments a year. 1,000 derailments a year. Now, does that mean that there's huge train wrecks 3 times a fucking day? Well, that's what the math suggests. Well, I'm going to contend that these serious derailments are much more rare, and that it's probably in rail car yards where derailments occur for the most part. These massive piles up of chemicals and oil products and raw materials and more chemicals and petrochemicals and deadly chemicals. I think those kind of train derailment and wrecks are much less common. Whereas the common derailments, well, we'd be hearing about it a lot more in the news, don't you think? But yes, we are paying attention also. It's like there was a train derailment, now let's keep an eye out for more. But right now, yeah, 3 of them a day is the average. I have a funny feeling, though, most of them take place in switch yards and low speeds and strange places. So, you know, interesting stuff. Those darn coincidences. But this guy, he's got the MyID, like wrist bracelet. Why not have the MyID chip? Well, I want to thank Mr. Skylight, who sent me a video that the totalitarian surveillance state has taken over. Now, I got this. It's a YouTube video, and if you go to the preparedmind.club and you sign up there, these are the types of articles. These are the types of articles that will be sent to you, that you can read, that you can catch up on. But essentially, this story about the total surveillance state kind of brings in line this whole, well, people have these MyID bracelets or armbands, and we have all of these Elon Musk satellites. What are those Elon Musk satellites called, man? What's that system called? Is it Skynet? It's not Skynet. Come on, someone help me out here. We've all got to keep this in mind because it's happening. This system was used, thank you, Mr. Uman. This system was used over in Ukraine. To the cost, thank you, Uman, Starlink. Starlink. That system was loaned at the cost of something like, what, $20 million a day? Elon Musk loaned it to the Ukraine and American intelligence services over there to help them fight the Russians. Starlink. Apparently, these Starlink satellites are everywhere around the planet. basically creating a cocoon of surveillance footage. It just kind of reminds me of there was a movie called Enemy of the State with Will Smith and Gene Hackman. It was a pretty good flick. Also had John Voight in it. Essentially, it was anyone that the state, the government that is interested in, they can surveil them. Well, that was back at a time about 20, 25 years ago, that movie was made, when there weren't hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of satellites, this Starlink thing. And I really think the Starlink, if I remember right, is not really satellites. It's more like low Earth orbit. Are they balloons? They're not a real true satellite system. People say they can see them just, up in the sky. Anyways, it's coming, folks. The total surveillance state. It is taking over. Who controls it? Not me. Not you. Do we have a say in it? No. There's no expectation of privacy, folks. Not with these fucking people. None at all. I tell you, it's tremendous. Where do we go from here? What do you guys want to talk about? What's on your mind tonight? It's Sunday Night Live. This week, I guarantee, is going to have some really stupid shit in it. They've changed the narrative, though. They changed from the war in Ukraine. When was the last time you really heard about that? Well, I'm going to be talking about that here in a minute, and it's not good. But they changed that over to Hunter Biden. Then they changed that over to secret documents. Then they changed that over to balloons. And then they changed that over to, man, what is next? I think that's a fair question to ask. We got Evil Rick. And he says, since the government works for us, well, supposed to anyway, I want to know which one of you gave the government permission to take anybody's license that they don't have permission to give in the first place. Well, I tell you what, Mr. Rick, I like your facetious, sarcastic question here, because we know it wasn't you, and we know it wasn't any one of us that gave government permission to take anybody's license, much less require we have a license in the first place. This is the batting order, my friend. We have rights from God, right? And that was well established in the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution and the common law. And then we went along for a number of years and decades. And then the government decided, no, we need to regulate this because it's too much power for the people to have. The government needs to make sure anyone who is exercising a right is licensed so we can make sure they're qualified to drive a car or qualified to own a gun. And so now people believe, you have to have a license, right? Permission to do that, which would otherwise be illegal. Well, it's not illegal for you to travel, and it's not illegal for you to protect yourself. Yet here we are. And then a couple of years pass and a couple of decades, and another 100 years later, we're in a similar situation where the government says, well, if we can put licenses out there, then we can revoke them anytime we want. And now we're in that room. The government keeps taking for itself power. It keeps taking for itself authority, when that authority is supposed to come from us, the people. And if we, the people, can give government authority, that is permission to be, then you and I, Mr. Rick, and Uman, and Nikki, and many others, we have the right and power to take it away. That is, authority and power can be revoked. Our rights cannot. That'll be a constitutional lesson, U.S. Constitution, U.S. Law, Freedom 101. I sure wish I could teach in a college, but wait, this is very much a type of education, entertainment, and awareness. That's what the Prepared Mind is about, folks. The Prepared Mind channel. I want to thank Mr. T for this great new backdrop here in the studio. Thank you again, Mr. T. He's just doing a great job providing all kinds of great material to make this show all the more interesting. And it's, I tell you what, it's a lot of work doing this show. And I want to thank you guys for supporting it. Seriously, for supporting this show with your questions, helping others, helping people understand. Right now, folks, we're on our third string channel. And if more people had paid attention and signed up at the preparedmind.club and subscribed to all the channels listed below, down in the video description, there's a list. It should say the Prepared Mind, the Prepared Mind BC John, the Prepared Mind, and Prepared Mind John, the 4 Prepared Mind channels. And you should be subscribed to every one of those. And you should hit the notification bell on every one of those. If I'm going to broadcast, I broadcast on one, not all of them. So you won't be just like littered with notifications. It'll come from one channel and one channel only. But we have these backup channels for situations just like this. Now, I know we don't have a super chat button on John the Prepared Mind, but we do have Cash App, we do have Venmo, and we do have PayPal. And it was funny. PayPal sent me a notice the other day. What a bunch of assholes. Let's move on if we shall. Hey, folks. This is a big deal. Like I said, I would talk about Ukraine one more time, right? Let's do it. Let's do it. This actually would qualify as a top story, but since we already did the top story, let's just do it this way. Wow. Listen, attention, Joe Biden. Attention, Potato Joe. Putin, with respect to Ukraine and war, means serious business. Now, while Joe is over in Europe and Camel Toes Harris is over in Europe, flying around on our dime, spending our money, burning a lot of jet fuel, making carbon, right? Putin did something very important. He launched a large-scale exercise in Russia. This large-scale exercise had to do with nuclear force, strategic nuclear exercises, folks. What do you think that means? Right? He's letting the U.S., he's letting Europe, he's letting Potato Joe know, don't fuck with us. Do you think that Joe even understood that? Do you think that the people around Joe helped him to understand that? Said, hey, man, we're getting awfully close to Russia here. Do we want to be in this room? What do you guys think? What's on your mind, right? I think that they're pushing and pushing and pushing for nuclear war. I think it's pretty obvious. I truly do. Now, this also came up over the weekend. Right? Kamala Harris has accused Russia of war crimes while she is at the Munich Security Conference. Well, she did that while ignoring the literal war crimes that Volodymyr Zelensky, by the way, if anyone knows the new nickname I gave Mr. Zelensky, let's see who man says puts it up first. All right. So, yeah, she completely ignores the fact that Volodymyr Zelensky brushed off the fact that his military has committed serious war crimes, right? Atrocities, if we want to use that word. All right. Anyone guess who, man? Well, it was Slobodan. Slobodan Zelensky is what I've been calling him for the last few days. Named after Slobodan Milosevic of Bosnia, who back during the Clinton years was accused of ethnic cleansing. Well, we've had Volodymyr Zelensky, or Slobodan Zelensky, committing ethnic cleansing against Russians. But Camel Toes Harris, she just completely forgot about that, right? And she kind of forgot about the bombshell, Cy Hirsch and his report about what's going on over there. So Camel Toes Harris, who has accused Russia of war crimes, right, demanded that Ukraine join NATO. That's right. She wants NATO, right, to let in Ukraine. And then also supply them with cluster bombs, of course, at your expense, my expense. Cluster bombs, aren't those illegal? Well, they're very effective. And folks, I would hate to be in a war where I'm trying to kill someone, honestly kill someone with a rifle while they honestly try and kill me with a rifle. You know, mano a mano. And then to have a cluster bomb dropped in the fucking area, just completely slicing and dicing like a zillion Ginsu knives turned loose. That would really suck. But there we are, right? There we are. Now, why don't they just give cluster bombs to Ukraine now and let that ass-kicking Ukrainian Air Force go out there and just, whoop some ass? Don't expect that to happen, folks. Don't expect it to happen. Now, a peace movement formed outside of the meeting, the Munich Security Conference. There were over 20,000 protesters outside the Munich Security Conference. It had both right-wing and left-wing protesters. They've had it. Folks, see, it's not about left or right-wing politics when it comes right down to it. When you're close to the war zone, when you're being affected by it, it doesn't matter what the political party is, right? You end up finding out and discovering that, well, people are going to die, people are going to suffer, and it's the people who have power and are making money, and that's all they give a shit about is that power and making money. And here we are. We're in that room. 20,000 protesters show up and protest Kamala Harris, Camel Toes, who's pushing for more war, not less, who's not looking for peace, but greater conflict, who wants NATO to introduce Ukraine as a member state. And what are they going to add to it, folks? No, see, that's just it. Ukraine cannot add anything to NATO. All it can do is take. It's already in a conflict with Russia. So all they have to do is claim that, well, Article 6 has been violated, and therefore all of NATO needs to come to the rescue, 100% of Ukraine. Do you think Poland really has the balls to go after Russia? Or do you think that they're just talking a lot of shit because they got big Uncle Sam Biden, that is, behind them? That's basically it. Right? Do you think Germany wants to fight Russia? I don't think so. Do you think Hungary, Romania, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Macedonia, do you think these countries want to fight Russia? Do you think they want to risk total incineration? How about little chicken shit countries like Lithuania and Estonia and Latvia? These were like northeast European countries. They would just be mowed over or just incinerated to pieces, right? But this whole idea of all the countries coming together. Well, we see right now all the countries being bullied by the likes of, well, interestingly, Poland, and then the United States and Great Britain over this whole NATO exercise. They want to make it sound like it's a NATO exercise. Potato Joe has no idea what the fuck is going on. Kamala Harris is asking for more war, and the people, they're supposed to suffer for it. They're supposed to pay the bill. And folks, the power bill for this, it's not just about electricity. Now, something very interesting has been going on in the last few weeks, and I'm going to observe it and generally comment on it. There's been a bit of a literal revival going on at a particular church in the middle of the country, a revival. And now in California, there's a revival in Santa Monica, and thousands have gathered to March for Jesus. Now, if you'll notice, I've been talking about these after-school clubs for Satan. Really? Yeah, really. Literally, really. And these satanic temple sponsoring and creating abortion clinics. And the fact that the Democrats are siding with them. Do you see how this is turning into, very quickly, a fight between good and evil? A fight between the moral and the immoral. A Catholic priest, bishop, I believe, in LA was murdered over the weekend. And now a pipe bomb has been found behind St. Dominic's Catholic Church in Philadelphia. You got some strange stuff going on. This is becoming not only, folks, a secular war, but it is becoming a moral, holy war that is warming up here now. Secular meaning, non-religious, and holy war, exactly what it is. A war over faith and who you serve, right? Unbelievable what is going on. It is going to really ramp up, folks. It's really going to ramp up. So going with this, let's look at this story, if you will. In Loudoun County, that would be Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia. In Loudoun County, that school board has refused to release their internal report detailing the Loudoun County School District's mishandling of sexual assaults by a transsexual student. That's right. This story's been out there a long time, and we covered it when it happened. This trans student, not in one case, but in two, went into the girls' bathroom and sexually assaulted young ladies and then tried covering it up. And now they're refusing to release the reports. Folks, the Attorney General of Virginia and the state troopers should raid their offices. These people have essentially committed crimes by covering up these crimes, right? It's a crime to cover up a crime. Where is the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation? If this was, how do we put this? If this was a trans student or a gay student assaulted by a bully, would the school try covering it up? And if the school did try covering that and protecting the bully and making the trans gay, well, let's make him a minority as well, the trans gay Puerto Rican student, they would call that a hate crime, right? They would say that the school district was committing a crime by hiding it. Oh yeah, the FBI would be in on that in no time. They really should raid their offices and then, folks, indict the school board members for hiding this, because it is a crime, right? If you see a crime, know of a crime, and you try making it a non-crime, right, you are essentially a co-conspirator. You are engaged in conspiracy to hide a crime, right? You are a participant after the fact. Right? After the fact, crimes have been committed and then they try hiding it. You bet. You absolutely bet these people are out of their fucking minds. Now, once again, folks, if you go to the preparedmind.club and sign up there, sign up to get our weekly newsletter. You put in your email, doesn't cost anything, and we will send you links to videos and then also links to stories like this, right? How to detox from, shall we say, Jim Jones juice and other being exposed to other toxins. This whole notion of detox is becoming more and more important, whether it's detox from biological agents or spike proteins or chemicals that are injected to, right, being exposed to other chemicals from name it, medical, petrochemical industries. People better learn how to get detoxed and have the right materials. Right here in front of me, in the Prepared Mind Studio, I've got a box of detox, and I ain't afraid to use it. All right, let's get into this. I want you to know where you are at. Boo Man, where are we at? We're right in the middle of George Orwell's 1984. In fact, we're not in the middle of it. We're more like in the prologue. The prologue. We're in the story that leads up to 1984. In Canada. That's right. It's an English common law based system that is no longer common law. But they now have decided, the Canadian justice system has decided that Trudeau and his rules that he used to squash, violate rights, his War Act is justifiable. That Trudeau and any government can seize bank accounts, imprison protesters. It's all approved. It's all good. Right? Government is now deciding what government can violate. Government is now deciding what rules it has to or doesn't have to obey. What's next? Murder? Well, yeah, I mean, if Trudeau says so and the War Act, if it's there, fine. We go back to Mr. Rick, and he says, who gave the government the right? Who voted for that? Who told them they could? And then told them they could take our, privileges away? Who told them they could force us to get, licenses and then take them away? Here we have a great example of it. And I've been waiting to get down the list to go over it. Yeah, the government is now deciding what rules exist and don't exist, and what rules it does and doesn't have to obey, and what rules it can make up and violate your rights. That's right. Protesting, they can now take your bank accounts. Protesting, they can now arrest you. Protesting, they'll take your house. Protesting, they may as well murder you. Sure thing. Isn't this funny how government decides what government can and can't do? Throw out the Canadian rules. Throw out the U.S. Constitution. Throw out the Declaration of Independence. Throw out the rights of man. Throw out the Magna Carta. Throw out the Holy Bible. That's right, folks, the Holy Bible, where it talks about men having free will. Interesting stuff, folks. Throw out thousands of years of philosophy because the government just figured it out for themselves, exactly what they are and aren't allowed to do. I tell you what, I think I'm ready for it. Are you? Are you ready to deal with this government? Now, the fact the Prepared Mind channel has 2 strikes right now. 2 strikes on the Prepared Mind, 1 strike on the Prepared Mind BC, right? They're using social pressure through high-tech companies to try and silence me so I can't, with your assistance, educate the whole world into understanding they have a right to say what they want. Nobody has to listen. Just like I can't force you to come here and listen. Nobody has to listen. But we have the right to say what we want. They're trying to stop us. They truly are trying to stop us. Are you prepared to step up in defense of yourself, right? For your own preservation. Are you ready? Well, I'm fucking ready for them. We're still not there yet, but I've been ready for them. I'm expecting all of this to happen, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. Well, let's do this. Let's do a super chat donation. Jolene has some information for us, and it is Cottage Farm. Rut-row. Cottage Farm checks in, and she says, I tipped $50 on Subscribe Star, John. Woohoo! right? Thank you, Cottage Farm. She says, I'm still out here in this crazy world and definitely support the prepared mind, spreading the truth, but I still have a foot on my neck, so to speak. Godspeed. Well, number one, Cottage Farm, I'm going to do a shot. Woo, mother's milk right there. And it's going to be a full one because we're on John the Prepared Mind. I think this is the first, scotch on the Prepared Mind. Cottage Farm, thank you very much sincerely. Oh, man. Mother's milk. Now, I want to kind of address this. Cottage Farm says she's got a foot on her neck. I happen to know a little bit about her situation, and that is the same type of pressure. So let me just say this. PayPal has eliminated this guy's account. So the PayPal we have down below goes to Jolene. So we can still work with PayPal, but this guy got, I get notices, 2-3 times a month from PayPal telling me all kinds of stuff. But then as soon as I click on PayPal, it says, you're not allowed to do anything. We've decided to permanently suspend your account. Well, PayPal is a fucking bank. It started out as a comical fucking joke years ago. Well, yeah, it's kind of like a banking thing and it works just for the internet, but it is a bank. Yet they've decided that because they don't like me politically, because they don't like the words I use and the actions I take, even though they are not illegal, I have not violated a single fucking law. They still decided to cut off my banking. That is a financial institution. Medically, you don't get the Jim Jones juice. You won't get heart operation, other major surgeries, depending on which hospital you go to. I thought Barack Hussein Barry Soetoro Obama said medical access was a human right. Well, fuck us, right? They're taking that. Social media. I try spreading the word about my opinion, your opinion. I try spreading the news that's out there. And if that news does not correspond with what they say is safe discussion, it's disinformation, it's misinformation. So they silence me. And that's where we're at right now. Why I'm on John the Prepared Mind instead of being on the Prepared Mind channel. Cottage Farm is also experiencing a personal issue with one of those types of systems where the system out there has decided that they don't like something that's happened, or they're suspicious of, or they feel like punishing someone. They feel like exercising their power. And since we're all just small, itty-bitty, teeny humans, they can shit on us. Well, what did we describe, folks? Over in England, the BBC had their studios heavily protested. They were this far from being stormed and taken over because the BBC has lied about the Jim Jones juice, how many people are dying and being injured from it. People are plastering poster boards up everywhere saying, yeah, people are dying from that shit. They truly are, folks. People are getting up to here. And so the pressure is going to be more and more and more. Financially, socially, through media, in schools, from the government itself, who wants to institute their programs. Well, I did it. I touched on Cerveza-Bug, folks. I did. I touched on Cerveza-Bug. And I just lost the story. Can you fucking believe that? Lost the story. It had to do with Jolene. See if you can find the story for me. I sent it to you. It's the Florida Surgeon General. He had something to say about the Jim Jones juice, and it's a big, big deal. I can't say the words out loud. I've got to be very, very careful. Not allowed to say the words. And it's right in here somewhere. I'm going back through the news pieces looking for it. But if you can send me the email there. Crazy stuff, folks. Oh, by the way, they now have trained pilots in the Taliban. That's right. Trained pilots in the Taliban who, what was that? Ooh, man. Jolene stepped out for a minute. Ah, crap. No worries. Now, the Taliban now has trained pilots for the helicopters that Joe Biden gave them. Isn't that just wonderful? Don't you feel all warm and fuzzy knowing that Joe Biden helped us out that way? I feel great about that. Really. All right. Pete Buttgagger, right? Nobody is happy with that guy. Not at all. Well, while I'm looking for this Florida Surgeon General thing, I just ran across another story that's in my list. And a woman has gone on Twitter and trolled Biden voters by wearing a pink hair wig and holding a sign. Did a TikTok video. And then Elon Musk responded. And it's brilliant, right? She just does a little video where she holds up a sign. She's got like crappy makeup on her face and pink hair everywhere. And the sign says, "Just because I voted for Biden doesn't mean I am stupid." I think that's beautiful. I think that's just absolutely beautiful and just brilliant. So Elon Musk responded to that. And he says, "I voted for Biden," and made like a sad face. And so this TikTok user went and brilliantly, thank you, Jolene, I've got it, brilliantly put Elon Musk's face on the red-haired, fruitcake-looking person. There's just so many different ways that you can troll these idiots. Now, let's get back to Florida. The Surgeon General of Florida must be a medical expert, right? He's probably a physician, a doctor. He's been appointed to the highest medical position in the state of Florida. Can I quote this guy as an expert? Nope. Not allowed to do that. Can I quote and say what this guy is talking about? Nope. But the Surgeon General of Florida has issued a new warning, folks. A new warning. Because he found a 1,700% increase in people who are injured in Florida. 1,700%. That's 1,700% more injuries than normal. Don't you think that's a significant increase? So the Surgeon General of Florida has issued a warning about this crap. Now, I think that 1,700 is underreported. Remember that doctors got paid money to find out if someone has cerveza bug and put in the form and start treating that patient. They got big money. They got amigo money for that. But they got $0 if someone was injured or died. So filling out those reports and sending them in, there's no money for that. No money at all. Now, we have a bunch of doctors out there who say, get your Jim Jones juice. It's good for you. And you got a bunch of doctors out there who say, no, don't do it. So like the rest of America, let's figure it's 50-50. 50% of doctors want people to get that shit. 50% say, don't do it. So let's just assume that the ones who don't want you to get it are very willing to fill out their reports. And that those doctors that want people to get the Jim Jones juice, they don't want any news, so they don't report it. Meaning half the time, they don't get reported. That means that this 1,700% increase is actually a 3,400% increase because only half of them are getting reported. That's just a little bit of John math. Am I a medical expert? No, but I can figure out some basic, simple math. 2x 1,700, 34x. There you go. 3,400% increase. Will I get a strike? You fucking idiots at YouTube. Because I can do math. We don't like John's math. Give him a strike. Bunch of pussies. I tell you what, this is the Prepared Mind channel. We are on John the Prepared Mind this week. It's a little trickier to do super chat donations because there's no super chat button up there, but there is right down below. We got Venmo, we have Cash App, and we have PayPal. We also have Subscribestar where people do tips at Subscribestar, and it's really great. I appreciate you guys and your enthusiasm and wanting to help. And do we still have a freebie out there that was purchased, Uman? No more good questions at all? Okay. Well, we got good questions, but he said we don't have a freebie. You know that Uman, he runs a tight ship. Don't fuck with that guy. Now, this is really interesting. These fruitcakes in medical world, they're not just limited to the Jim Jones juice and Cerveza bug. They want your kids to cut their genitals off. They want them to take chemicals, hormones that stunt their growth, their physiological development, as well as, well, injuring them psychologically. So in Arkansas, they have decided that they're going to pass a law making it illegal for trans surgery and puberty blockers for children to be done. So they're having hearings. And get this, a tranny freakophologist, no, a tranny pharmacist gets up there and wants to testify. And you're going to love this interchange that occurred. Folks, this is how these people think. 1 second. There we go. These people think that they must be respected because of their bravery for coming out. Their bravery for coming out. So Arkansas State Senator Matt McGee, he got the other colleagues, the Democrats, to go and gasp because, oh my gosh, how dare you ask this question? This is absolutely fucking hilarious and totally appropriate, right? The Little Rock pharmacist, get this name, Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn was the name of the fucking witch, folks, from the Wizard of Oz. Gwendolyn Herzig went to testify, right? And Senator McGee said this to it. He said, "You said that you're a trans woman. Do you have a penis?" Right? A lot of people, oh my God. And someone said, disgraceful. No. See, you've got a fruitcake trying to make a mental disorder look normal, sound normal, sound respectable. Now, Gwendolyn Herzig replied that the question was horrible and said this: "I don't know what my rights are, but that question was highly inappropriate. Do you think that question was appropriate?" Now, Herzig continues, "I'm a healthcare professional, a doctor. Please treat me as such. Next question, please." No, the question stands. You're a healthcare professional, right? You're recommending to children and trying to advocate for cutting off body parts, genital mutilation, as well as chemical castration and chemical mutilation of bodies, children's bodies, minors' bodies. You want kids to do that. If you cut off your dick, right? Do you have a penis? Or did you cut it off? Now, the Democrat Party of Arkansas, folks, has this to right. They tweeted, "Republicans are not hiding their transphobia." There's no fear of these trannies. What they need to be is exposed for their hypocrisy. We don't know if this trans person went all the way or if it's just a guy wearing some fucking makeup, right? Well, they passed SB 199. There you go. They passed it. Good. Unbelievable, folks. It passed through the Senate Judiciary Committee. It needs to be passed altogether so that physicians will be prohibited from performing transgender surgery and prescribing puberty blockers and hormones to children. These are some sick people, and they believe that, well, I have a degree, so you have to listen to me. Let's just look at movies, right? Dr. Hannibal Lecter, right? Famous movie cannibal, right? Hannibal the Cannibal. He's a doctor. Let's see, Bernie Madoff stole billions and billions of dollars. Well, he was a professional with a massive degree and financial certifications from the state. That's right, folks. He had to be vetted and permitted by the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, to have his big, securities trading firm set up. I don't care what your fucking degree says. I don't care how certified or licensed you are. That doesn't stop these people from being a bunch of sick, fucked up criminal minds. And it's funny to see this trans pharmacist who claims to also be a doctor, right, with bicep bulging so that the really feminine shirt is kind of stretching, right? Like we've got some big muscles in the trans movement. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Bunch of freaks. They truly are a bunch of freaks, folks. They are. Now, while we're on this subject of freaks on the left and shit hitting the fan and your kids being used as weapons, being turned against you, right? Your kids being turned against you. Well, there's a new bill that would criminalize the publishers of sexually explicit books that get sent to schools. Remember how the Democrats want to criminalize what is done with guns. If a gun is used to be committed in a crime, then that gun manufacturer should be sued. Well, isn't that funny? They're going to try and do something very similar, right, in the House and Senate in D.C. The bill is H.R. 863. And according to the description of the bill, it would amend Title 18 U.S.C. to prohibit a publishing house from knowingly furnishing sexually explicit material to a school or an educational agency, to prohibit federal funds from being provided to that school that obtains all this stuff, right? You know what? It's not as nice as that is. It's not. I think publishers and I think school boards and I think teachers should all be held criminally liable. Criminally liable for bringing pornography into schools. Now, I get it. Pornography is not illegal in and of itself, but providing it to minors is. Right now, a kid getting into his daddy's stack of Playboys is different than a parent or a school board member or a teacher providing pornographic freak material, which is what this drag queen, tranny, gay stuff is all about to children. Right? It is unbelievable and it's unconscionable what's going on. But this is our world, folks. Okay, and thank you, Jolene, for taking care of that. You're awesome, on a roll. Where do we go from here, right? We are, by the way, past the 1 hour, past the 1 hour, and we're going. It's going to be one hell of a week coming up, folks. The Biden administration is in hot water. They're in trouble over enthusiasm for Ukraine. They're in trouble with the rest of the world over Ukraine. They're over in Europe trying to make the case that we need World War III, while Europeans are fucking suffering. They're in trouble over the balloon. They're in trouble over Hunter Biden's stuff. They're in trouble over the southern border. They're back on their heels, these globalist scumbag Democrat socialist types, but they're still pushing forward. They truly are. And we need to be prepared for what they're willing to do. Now, I guess we're supposed to hate, right, heterosexuality, normal behavior. They're trying to make normal behavior, that is being transphobic or Muslim-phobic or homophobic, they try and make that sound like that's abnormal. No, that is the normal reaction to fruitcakes. And what they're doing is creating an entire class of people who hate themselves, absolutely hate themselves, their race, their color, their culture, their religion. The Democrats are masters at propaganda and then getting people to buy their shit. So here we have an outstanding example of self-hatred and hypocrisy at a progressive social justice organization. A diversity leader has been exposed. An Arab Latina Muslim. Arab Latina Muslim. How many Arab Latinas do you know? I know they're out there. I think they would have to be. An Arab Latina Muslim diversity leader is actually a white girl. That's how much these people hate themselves, hate their color, hate their culture, hate their country, hate their religion, that they would go through all the rigmarole to put on an entirely new fake bullshit persona, including changing their skin color, changing their ethnicity, and changing their religion. Arab, Latina, Muslim diversity leader is a self-loathing, self-hating, hypocritical white chick. Yeah, can you imagine waking up every day and being that person? I know, folks, I know outstanding white people. I know outstanding Mexicans. I know outstanding Hispanics. I know outstanding black people. I know outstanding all kinds of people. I talked to Ali on the phone the other day. I was like, hey, Ali, what's happening? Talk to people from around the world, folks. They don't hate themselves. Unbelievable, folks. Oh, by the way, the Biden administration has been refusing, absolutely refusing, to declare the Ohio train wreck and chemical spill and chemical fire and damage and destruction and poisoning. They've refused. They've refused to do anything about it until Trump announced he was going to make a trip to East Palestine, Ohio. And then FEMA and the Joe Biden administration finally decided to release disaster relief funds for the locals there. Isn't that just unbelievable? I find it to be unbelievable that it takes Trump saying he will go. He doesn't have a government jet. He doesn't have a government bureaucratic system full of money. He was just going to go there and see what was going on and try and help the people. As a result of that, FEMA finally wakes up. Now, this kind of got my attention. Didn't Bruce Willis die? Oh, man, I need to bring you on the show, buddy. Can I get you? Can we do it? 3, 2, 1. Hit that button, brother. And welcome to the Prepared Mind channel. It is none other than our good buddy, Ooman.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Thank you very much, Oliver. Now, I could have swore that Bruce Willis died. He did this big "I'm going away." What do we got here? What am I missing on this?
He came down with that brain issue, and he stepped away. But I don't believe he's dead.
Well, according to this story, he has been diagnosed. Well, see, Jolene says aphasia. Right. I got this one here says frontotemporal dementia. Maybe that's aphasia. I thought he died. Another Mandela moment for me. You know, I also heard that President Jimmy Carter died, and apparently he's not dead.
Yeah, I thought I heard on the radio this afternoon that they said he had died, but then all the articles I saw this afternoon said that he went home to complete the hospice process.
The hospice process. Yeah. Just hand me a really heavy weight and say, I dare you to hold on to this, John, and push me off the end of a wharf.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's time to go. All right. Enough levity aside. I believe that Osama bin Laden died at least 3 times over the course of, I think, 8 years. Osama bin Laden's been killed. And then a few years later, we're like, hey, guess what? Osama bin Laden was killed. And he was finally killed, I think, by the Obama administration.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Right. Anyways, Bruce Willis, not dead. As well as Generalissimo Franco Francesco of Spain. He is still dead.
Still dead.
Still dead.
Yeah,
after all these years, after all these decades.
Yeah, not just mostly dead.
Not mostly dead. He's mostly dead. No, I'm not. I'm getting better. Quit kidding everyone. You're going to be dead. You know, this whole dead thing, right? Unbelievable. Okay, well, Bruce Willis is alive. I guess everyone's allowed to die several times before they're really dead.
Yeah.
We've got Bonnie Blue checking in. So, here we go. Are we ready? Ooman, are you ready?
I think so.
All right, knuckle bump. Knuckle bump. There it is, knuckle bump. Okay. A priest, a rabbit, and an imam walk into a bar. The bartender asks the rabbit what he will have. The rabbit says, I don't know. I'm just here because of the autocorrect. Thank you.
That was the best clean joke I've heard all weekend.
That is a very clean joke, and the rabbis have been spared an embarrassment. But believe it or not, folks, there have been on various Prepared Mind broadcasts. Let's see, Christians, Buddhists, Jews, and I'm sure even Muslims. In fact, I was contacted years ago by a Muslim, and they're here. Right, I'm as much worried about a crazy radical Christian as I am a crazy radical Muslim, because they're crazy and radical.
Yep.
It's just I haven't seen any crazy radical Republicans going out and committing mass murder at malls by shooting people. They're not doing it. They're just not doing it.
Not seeing them burn down neighborhoods and do fake race hate crimes and everything else either.
They're not burning down churches. Yeah, none of that shit. Anyways, thank you very much, Bonnie Blue. All right, dude, I'll turn you loose and head back into it. Thank you, Mr. Ooman. Okay, folks. I just talked about the difference between crazy people and normal people. Well, there is a difference between red and blue states. Now, a Christian teacher, that's a school teacher, a Christian school teacher, is being fired because she refused to hide a child's gender transition that they were trying to do. And this Christian teacher refused to hide the preferred pronouns that they wanted to have. They wouldn't hide them from the parents. Now, see, when you have a student willing and wanting to mutilate their bodies and take drugs that affect their bodies, and that they're demonstrating mental disorder by claiming to be something other than they're not, you shouldn't hide that from parents. You shouldn't. The parents deserve to know what's going on with their children, and the school is acting as it's a teaching institution, a learning institution, not an institution of self-mutilation, right? It's unbelievable. Anyways, this teacher's now being fired. She said this: I couldn't be Christian and a teacher. You see the difference there between someone who's good and someone who's bad? Well, the left wing would tell you that Christian teacher is a radical and dangerous and harmful to children. And those same people that says that Christian teacher who told the parents what's going on with their own child, they'll call them a radical and then say, and next week we're going to have a bunch of drag queens here and we're going to expose some genitals to some small children and teach them how to pole dance and put on drag queen makeup and essentially justify and normalize abhorrent, filthy sexual behavior by a bunch of large, swarthy, filthy freaks. It's just unbelievable. They'll call normal bad, and they'll call the absolute abomination good. Quite an interesting thing, huh? Quite an interesting thing. The same way, folks, get this. Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Officer Jason Bagshaw. He's the good guy. Do you know what he did? He beat a Trump supporter in the face 40 times. Baton, fist. This is back on January 6th, 2021. Who's the good guy? Is the good guy Jason Bagshaw, D.C. police officer, for beating a woman in the face 40 times? Folks, George Orwell said that a boot on the face of humanity is government's goal. If we aren't there yet, we're getting damn close. The video has been released, folks. It's released. Jolene may or may not put it on the preparedmind.club and subscribestar.com, and I hope she does. But it's a Gateway Pundit article that has a link to the video showing Victoria White getting her face bashed in by a cop. And Victoria White is not a male pretending to be a woman. Never forget, folks, that there are people out there in your world, right outside your door, in that 10-mile radius around your house, your place. There's people there that will accept the job of killing, maiming, destroying their fellow countrymen, all for a paycheck. And there's people out there also willing to kill you and your family for free because they don't agree with you politically, because they think your morality represents a threat to their belief system. And their belief system has nothing to do with morality. Trust me on that. We're closing in on 90 minutes, folks. Closing in on 90 minutes. And we've got a lot going on. Where do we want to go? This is Sunday Night Live, folks, and I know we're on the Prepared Mind or John the Prepared Mind channel. So it's hard to get your questions in. So I am, what row? 1 second there. Hang on. Leave that one up. Leave it up. I was going to say, do your very best out there to do whatever you're doing. It caught me by surprise, folks. Studio Ryu, LLC. That is none other than friend of the channel and friend of mine. That is Rudy, the urban aboriginal. He says, escape from New York, Snake Plissken. So here we are. I tell you what, yeah, there's people are trying to escape those blue states and blue cities. And it's getting harder and harder, Rudy. Isn't it? I mean, it's harder. Some people want to leave, and they do. Other people want to leave, and they can't. The Escape from New York movie, folks, it was a John Carpenter film starring Kurt Russell as the venerable and awful Snake Plissken. Great movie, very dystopian indeed. Anyways, Rudy, thanks for checking in, brother. Big friend of the channel. Folks, there's just so many good people out there. Damn it, I wish I could just have it all on here. But if you need to escape, I hope that you can. I really hope that you can get the hell out of where you're at and get to where it's good. I'm way down here, down south. That's right, California boy. Super Swede John is no longer a California boy, but down in the free South. So get this, folks. The Supreme Court of the United States, and I need to be very careful in mentioning this news story. The Supreme Court of the United States is going to reconsider the case that has accused Biden, Harris, Pence, and others of violating their oaths because they ignored some things that happened back in 2020. Biden, Harris, Pence, and other lawmakers, they violated their oaths. This is something I have been asking for. This is something you guys have been mentioning. These fucking people took an oath. They held up their hand. They placed their other hand on the Holy Bible and swore to a duty that obligates them. It is the obligation of an elected official. And their obligations, folks, also for the bureaucrats out there. And included in every oath is the obligation to defend the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to protect and defend the United States Constitution. I hope that the Supreme Court of the United States considers a violation of the oath and a termination offense. That is to say, if you have not done your duty and it can be established with fact, that is evidence or proof, that you don't have to be guilty of doing it purposefully, because there's this thing called dereliction of duty, meaning you didn't do your job. Whether you know it or not, you were derelict. You're guilty of violating your oath, whether you knew it or not. The same way, I may not know a law, but ignorance of the law is no excuse for you. If you violate the law and go, I didn't know that was illegal. I thought I could have chickens in my front yard. They're like, no, you can't have chickens in your front yard. It's a city ordinance, and here is a $10,000 fine. You're guilty. If you're guilty of violating your oath, you need to be removed from office at the very least. I wonder where this is going to go. I wonder what the Supreme Court is going to do. Will they even take it up? Will they even take it up? Right. Unbelievable. You know, Joe Biden has refused to do his job with regard to the Nord Stream explosion and the Ohio train derailment. What do you mean, John? He failed to do his job with Nord Stream. Well, Joe Biden's job was also to protect, well, the United States and through treaty help protect other NATO countries. But if he was part of the Nord Stream explosion, then he violated his duty, right, as president to NATO. So it was part of his duty, an extension of his duty to his allies. He should be impeached, folks. He should be kicked out of office for violating his oath when it comes to Afghanistan and abandoning our allies, our troops, our citizens, and the people of Afghanistan, as well as abandoning our, just, Biden has done so many things. Where is the Speaker of the House, McCarthy? Where is he? Where is he? Where is the impeachment? Why is it not happening? Why? It's just, it's too much. It's too much. Now, in Idaho, folks, get this. This is incredible. We need to be very, very careful. In the state of Idaho, their Congress, or rather Assembly, is introducing a bill to charge those who administer the Jim Jones juice. They want to call giving that a misdemeanor. Isn't that interesting? Judy Boyle, Republican, and Senator Tammy Nichols, a Republican, have sponsored Idaho House Bill 154. I don't think it's going to pass. It's got to pass, you know, the Senate and the Assembly, and it's got to get signed by the governor. But there's a problem here, right? Nichols said, we have issues that this was fast-tracked. Yeah, there's issues there with it being fast-tracked. There's not, and so went on to say there's no liability, informed consent, or data on the Jim Jones juice, right? Meaning it's untested. People aren't being told what's going on. And so they want to make it illegal to give this thing. Right? They're talking about blood clots and heart issues. It's incredible, folks. People are fighting back. They're waking up. Where are you in this fight? Are you prepped to action? Are you prepping to action? Are you getting food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Are you putting together your plan and then writing your state assembly and state senate? Are you writing your DC congressmen and senators and saying, what the hell? We need this problem fixed. We're relying on you. You took oaths to do the very thing that we need you to do, and that's protect this nation and protect the people. It's incredible, folks. I don't think that those steps are being taken, but people are waking up. They're waking up morally. I like that. And that's being evidenced through responses with churches. That's good. You can't force your church and your beliefs on me, but at least seeing that people are now recognizing that there is a morality issue here. It's just what a week. What a week. We're going to continue. If you've got something you want to say, get your question in down below. We got, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. That's all being monitored. So if you've got something to say, you do a super chat donation and bam, we'll make you famous. You'll help people understand. Now, the United States government, the United States military, has been unable to locate the objects that were shot down over Alaska and Lake Huron. Now, the object shot down over Alaska was kind of questionable. What was it? Well, we really don't know. We were told that the object that was shot down over Lake Huron, we're getting mixed reports. It was an octagon shape. It had 8 sides. This thing was the size of a school bus. This thing was 30 inches in diameter, right? 3 feet in diameter. Not very big, a large beach ball, right? We know that they couldn't shoot it. They missed with a $400,000 weapon, missile, and they haven't recovered the missile either. There's an unexploded missile somewhere in Lake Huron. The Pentagon came out and said it could be an extraterrestrial. Did they say that? It could be. Well, they said we aren't ruling out anything. And now the recovery operation has been stopped. The U.S. says they can't locate the debris. So I have to ask the question, why no recovery? Are they embarrassed to have shot down civilian hobby balloons or weather balloons? That's right. Now the Biden presidency is under investigation for spending $400,000 on the weapon as well as the fuel, that carbon-producing fuel, and the time, the security of, securing the airspace over this balloon UFO toy, right? You spent all that money, time, risk over a toy balloon, or was it, folks, a UFO? And so the government's going to call off their search for this UFO so they can hide it, right? Chinese military equipment. Could it be that the Chinese military equipment that was shot down, pedo Joe has to give back to China, or China releases damning evidence and Joe is a traitor? We're not going to get this truth out of these people, folks. Will there be more balloons? Will there be more balloon incidents? Will there be more UFOs? Are these balloons all over the planet? That's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous what is going on. Where do we go from here, right? Where do we go? Governor Pritzker. Governor Pritzker in Illinois. What has he done lately for you, Uman? What has this guy been up to? I tell you what, Governor Pritzker basically says, screw you to the people. And he also has sanctioned and given his approval to pornographic materials being put around in schools. When will we as the people have enough and actually tell these people we're done with it? No more. When is enough? How much is enough, folks? It's a big question. It's a huge question. It truly is. We need to hold these people accountable for their crimes. Crimes against children, crimes against the population, crimes against individuals, and crimes against the collective people. International crimes, federal crimes, state crimes, local crimes. I want to end the show with this. Archbishop Vignano, Catholic priest, he has continued to come out and speak openly. I am not a Catholic, yet I think what Archbishop Vignano says is real and matters. He basically responded to Tucker Carlson, who the left has tried to destroy over the weekend. They tried saying that his comments in his private discussions are to be taken literally and that he basically hates you and doesn't believe in America, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Trying to discredit him. Truly, folks, that's what they got. Well, Archbishop Vignano responds to Tucker Carlson. Tucker is not in trouble. But this is what the Archbishop says. It's time to call out the New World Order. Folks, that means the World Economic Forum, the Bilderberg Group, the Davos douches, the Council on Foreign Relations, everybody, all these globalists. It's time to call them out and hold them accountable for their crimes. What crimes are they committing? Crimes against humanity with the pandemic and then their cure. What else have they done? Right? They have attacked our food systems by creating GMO products that cross-pollinate and cross-contaminate other foods, releasing, as far as I'm concerned, intentionally bird flu and other diseases that affect livestock and food. You know, the swine flu, bird flu. Interesting how it goes after human food. The introduction of eating absolute filth and having that substituted for our real food. The, shall we say, engineering of wars and conflict to kill people, to kill men, to kill women, for whatever, shall we say, whatever influence and activity they've had in these warehouse fires, food fires, chemical wrecks with trains, chemical wrecks with trucks, whatever, and to whatever degree they're responsible for it, they should be held accountable. The politicians that went from America over to the Davos World Economic Forum to speak, they should be held accountable because they're addressing a group and encouraging them to use their, shall we say, financial and their financial power to influence and cause these actions to continue. None of what they're doing, none of what the World Economic Forum is doing is good for me or you or our children or our planet. George Soros wants to fund an incredible program to lower the temperature on the planet. Now, if you live down, I guess, in Mexico or Central America, right on the equator, it might feel hot. Well, it's always felt hot there. But what about Canada? What about the North Plains in America? What about the Midwest? What about Europe and its farming? What about Russia and its farming? What about Ukraine and its farming? They don't need less heat. They need more heat. They don't need shorter summers. They need longer summers. Yet these globalists want to change the weather, make things more difficult, grow less food, make the world less habitable. And it's been a lot colder, folks. And life was a lot harder 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago. It was a lot colder because there was a little ice age, and folks, disease, famine, and a difficult life was what those people had because of those things. And they want to reintroduce that. Tell me how that is good for a planet when we need more food, not less. They don't care. They don't care. And I figured, well, I may as well throw this one in here. We got some time left. I'm going to end this show before the 2-hour mark because it is John, the Prepared Mind. We have fewer questions and comments from you guys coming in through the super chats. There is a news article, or several of them out there, pointing out how federal operatives, FBI plants, FBI informants, FBI personnel, infiltrated the crowds on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol in 2021, and they instigated violence. They were agents provocateur. They themselves committing acts of violence and also encouraging others to do the same. It's been exposed. This is one more thing that's been exposed, is the government and its actors, the government and its people have done all they can to make you and me, us, look like we're the bad guys when they are the ones pushing for violence and pushing for, well, essentially terror so that they can increase their authority. That's exactly what they're all about, folks. So this Sunday Night Live, the zoo is on a strike. I think we've had a great crowd, 200 people live. That's terrific for the Third String Prepared Mind channel. Be sure and subscribe. Subscribe to John the Prepared Mind. Subscribe to Prepared Mind John. Down below in the description are the other channels. And I want to thank people who made Super Chat donations and who make donations all through the week, folks, to keep this channel active, to pay for what it is we do here, to support it. It is absolutely necessary that we get all the support we can. And a lot of that includes sharing the email address right up there so that other people can learn what the hell is going on. Imagine this, if only, 3 or 5% are aware that prepping is a thing and should be done, that means the other 95% of the country are getting the picture. As life gets more difficult, they wake up and they go, maybe I ought to look into that whole patriot prepping thing. Where do I go? That's where you come in handy, and you go, it's up here. By emailing, texting, messaging, Facebooking, other social media, sending that internet address right up there out, people have a chance to learn and hear the truth. Not from you. You don't have to be the person that sounds crazy. You could just say, hey, listen to this message. Right? It's convinced me that I need to be more prepared, that having a couple months worth of food on hand is a good idea, that self-defense is something we need to consider, that holding the government accountable is something we should all work towards. I think that all works very well. For now, I want to say thank you, and I'm going to check out. I'm going to check out. I tell you, folks, my chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Semper Fi. Godspeed. And I'll see you tomorrow, 0 Dark 30.